Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerd Cops podcast. I am your air quotes host for this week, Renner, along with my fellow co-hosts who are somewhere to either my left or below me. Casey, say wave hi, Casey, and Nathaniel, wave hi, Nathaniel. We are going to be doing a tier list based on a article written by Barbara Davidson. This is the article that I found and wanted to use, by the way. It was just I did not have a tier list made. Written by Barbara Davidson from Saving Spot. That I can go ahead and shout out because I'm using it and I'm crediting this to that person. And we're basically going to be tier listing cryptids of the US.
Oh, nice.
For those of you who do not know what cryptids are, they are essentially mythical creatures created by us humans that may or may not exist and are living in and or around the areas that we live in or around. So, most of them are absolutely terrifying horror monsters. Do not approach them at any cost. If you see that thing outside the window, do not go outside. Lock your doors, shut your windows, close the curtains. Do not go outside. It will kill you. Anyway, so we're going to start off with the Alabama, and we're going by each state here. And actually, we're not going to start with Alabama. We're actually going to start with the Skinwalker. I feel like everybody has heard of the quote-unquote of the Skinwalker. So for those who don't know, basically, it's an animal that's associated with witchcraft, usually include tricksters such as the coyote. However, it does include other creatures. Most of the time, skinwalkers are quote-unquote captured on video as what people think are deer. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of these videos, but it's actually crazy. Like, it's a deer that's been clearly hit by a car, and it's like or something, and it's like still up, running around, like peeking behind a tree and like darting away. Like, this thing should be in every sense of the word dead, but it's not. So, Skinwalker, what do we think?
They're pretty terrifying looking.
So I've actually read a book last year about skinwalkers, but I don't know about you, Casey. I'll speak into it first, and then you can kind of talk me up or down. I'm honestly thinking kind of middle of the road. I'm leaning kind of B or C territory. I don't feel like it has that like legendary status. I feel like it's missing a lot of things to be into the S or A tiers.
I mean, Renner over here just compared it to basically like roadkill in a way. Terrifying roadkill. So,
Okay.
I mean, although
all right. I am going to do my best to not like influence you guys' decision, but I will say you have to admit that the Skinwalker is like one of the ones that like you can go anywhere in the US and be like, yo, do you know what a Skinwalker is? And anybody you ask that to more than likely is gonna be like, oh yeah, I've heard of those. Or like, yeah, that's some weird like mythical creature thing, right?
See, I'm going to counter that with, though, I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, I've heard of those. But if you're like, what is it? I honestly think a lot of people wouldn't be able to tell you that.
That's fair.
So I'm gonna say C. What do you think?
KC, do you concur?
I was leaning towards C.
Okay.
I think I would
all right
for now. And we're starting in the middle.
All said and done, if we want to shift things and move them up and down, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Add more tiers. We definitely have the availability. Plus, we also have several more to get through. So therefore,
so let's go.
The next thing, it's from Alabama. It's called the White Thing. It's Thang, actually. My bad. The White Thing. It's basically it's like it's like an albino Bigfoot, but it has a longer tail. It has like it, it's interesting. It's like it's 8 feet tall. Some people like say it looks kind of like a mixture of a lion or a kangaroo with the head of a cat, or it's like a bear-like creature. Like it's meh. I personally have never heard of this thing
Yeah.
until I read this article. I'd never heard of this.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with the obvious thing. Alabama having a white thing just kind of makes sense.
It does. It
Um,
does.
Casey, I'll let you speak into the what you think of the rating first.
Let me. I want to clarify something real quick. Are we going for? Are we ranking this on what's the most terrifying, or
I think it doesn't necessarily have to be most terrifying. Like
okay,
it could just be like
fascinating?
the most fascinating or like the most like oh that's weird
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
I also think there's a few categories I'm thinking like to me like legend like how
Notoriety.
how notorious is it? Like to me the fact that like no like I don't know if anyone outside of Alabama knows what this
I've
thing is.
never heard of this thing.
I've never heard of it. Given I mean all of us live in the same state, so that might affect it in a way. But yeah,
I lived in Alabama, or no, I lived in Indiana for like 8 months.
those are not the same state.
They're not the same state at all.
Cool story, bro.
I lived in Indiana, and there were people from Alabama that were also at that college, and we talked cryptid. Nope, never heard a single thing about White Thing.
Okay.
So, Renner, could you add a little context to what like are they legendary? Are they?
Do you want me to
They
define
attack?
cryptid really quick? Do you want me to define cryptid?
If you think it would help, sure.
Definition of cryptid. The meaning of cryptid is a creature that is found in stories and that some people believe exists or say they have seen, but that has never been proven to exist. But also at the same time, it has never been disproven to exist. Examples are Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Okay.
That kind of like it's that thing. It's like it's on like the verge of conspiracy, but also it's like there's photos kind of this thing, or
They're never
there's
clear, but there are photos.
well the thing is like or like this is something that somebody on the other side of the country has heard of. Like
Yeah.
it like or has a story about. Like it's not just like oh it's all conspiracy like that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
I think I know where I'm going to recommend, so we can get back on track.
We're all thinking F tier, right?
I am.
I
I
am.
mean,
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Cool.
That's where I
All
was
right.
leaning.
Next up from Alaska, the Tizharuk.
Ooh,
It's
okay.
essentially it's the Loch Ness monster of Alaska.
So it's like
I mean,
in ice leaks.
Except it's like more of a sea serpent than it is like a mosasaurus or whatever the thing that Nessie is.
Okay.
okay. You go, Nathaniel. What are you thinking on this one?
Again, I will just say I will start off by saying I've never heard of this one, but honestly, that just kind of makes sense. It's Alaska. I don't have a lot of Alaska experience. I'm not even from like at least with Alabama. Like I'm from the South, so like I can identify it on that front. I've never been anywhere near Alaska. With that
Yeah.
said, I just on the surface, I like that one more. I think, especially being Alaska, I do feel like there's a literal world
There's
of,
a
like,
lot
possibility there. So I would
technically
recommend-
Alaska is part of the Yukon or like just this huge wide open wilderness that's a part of Alaska or that Alaska is included in that's part of Canada. That's literally just I think a lot of it is just undeveloped open forest and like fields and landscape that's basically just a wildlife preserve that you can also move to if you want to risk that. So, but also this is like a sea serpent kind of thing. So this also kind of I feel like makes it a little bit more notorious because
Yeah.
like any kind of like port or like sea touching, what's the like I guess like coastal
Gotcha.
area has like the sea serpent kind
Yeah.
of thing. So
Yeah. So I will say for me, I'm kind of leaning towards B. Casey, what are
Oh,
you leaning towards?
I mean, I was leaning towards like A,
Okay,
honestly.
I could be convinced
And
towards A because it does have like
so
it's not specifically this one, but to Renner's point, it does kind of have that world like worldwide notoriety of just the sea
sea
serpent.
serpent.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
I see sea serpent. There's a little dragon-esque in there, and
mhm.
also the ocean just terrifies me. So I
And this is why.
Amen.
I respect it.
Okay,
So I mean,
I'm
that's
down.
why.
All
I'm down.
right, so we're
Let's
putting
do
this
A
at
on
A
that.
tier.
Yep.
The Tizharuk is A tier. Our first A tier.
Nice.
All right, Arizona.
Hey, look, it's the white thing again.
Yeah.
It's technically the Mongolian monster. It's like an albino Bigfoot.
Can we just
But
get
it also has been described to or have long black fur or reddish brown apart from its face, hand, or chest,
okay?
and it stands around.
I'm gonna ask something slightly interesting. Are we okay putting this in D tier just because it's not called White Thing? Because I feel like I want to give it an extra point for it not being called White Thing. Is that fair?
D tier it is. I already put it there. Moving on. Arkansas, the folk monster. It's essentially a swamp Bigfoot.
I'm sensing a pattern. Uh,
I I mean,
Casey, I'll let you just pick on this one. I feel like we have the range we're talking with here.
I just want to slap it with D. I think.
Okay.
Is what I mean. It's a little,
Anything that's
okay.
Bigfoot esque that's not white thing, just D tier.
That's kind of what I'm leaning for. And
Unless we actually get like Bigfoot, like if it's like this is Bigfoot or like I don't want a Bigfoot esque. If we actually get to Bigfoot, that's a whole other conversation.
we'll talk about that when we get to it. Unless we want to give it an extra point for ooh, that might be S. Unless we want to give it another point for it just being swamp, kind of having a more specific.
It's the Shrek of Bigfoot.
It's staying in
That
D.
C tier.
No, it
That
is.
C tier.
D
That
tier.
C tier. That C tier. It's the Shrek of Bigfoot. All right, the next up from California, the Dark Watchers. So this is like this is back from the native Chumash tribe. Like these have been seen since for like thousands of years, seen by the native people. They're all like they even like their original like words or word for the Dark Watchers was the Old Ones. They're essentially like they've never they've never been quote unquote seen. They don't make any noise. All people that have witnessed is dark silhouettes up to 15 feet tall, lurking against a twilight sky, often with flowing cloaks, wide brim hats, or walking sticks, or nothing.
So
Okay,
guys
Casey,
from
do you
afar
have any reason not to give this S tier, or are you content with that?
I mean, I'm thinking A or S. I like the mystery behind this.
Yeah,
Although
just the fact that it. Yeah,
a part of me does wonder, it's like, is this just a dude far away? Like,
it's just a
but
scarecrow in a field.
Yeah, it's just it's just been the same guy for for thousands of
it doesn't have
years.
to be the same guy. I mean, look at that. But I like the overall vibe and the mystery behind it. So I agree.
Okay,
I like it.
S tier,
Yeah.
putting Dark Watchers at S. All right.
I like it.
Next up from Colorado, the Slide Rock Bolter. It's essentially
Huh.
a mountain whale.
It's got some points for just unique.
So it essentially, like, what it supposedly does is it will go up to and this is something that's the size of a whale, mind you, that climbs up to the top of mountains and uses its tail to hook onto a surface, and then when prey, like some sort of prey animal or person of something comes in front of it, it lets go and slides down the mountain, and that's what it uses. Like that's its like a way of hunting. Essentially, it is a ambush predator, but it's the size of a whale and it lives in the Rockies.
Okay. Casey, what are you
Huh.
leaning towards?
That's unique. I think it's weird. I feel like if that existed, I mean, we would know about it. But I like the uniqueness.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm, unless you speak otherwise, I'm leaning towards like D or C.
Okay, I was thinking kind of B or C, so why don't we just go with C? Just
We'll
kind
go
of
with C with the
meet in the
slide
middle
rock
there.
bolter.
Okay.
Okay, okay, but here's the thing. This is now the third thing that we have in C. Would we say that this is above Swamp Shrek? Or would we say that this is above the Skinwalker?
As it stands right now, I would actually maybe think about moving Skinwalker up to B. Just considering who it's with, it doesn't feel like it belongs with
Yeah.
Swamp Shrek or sorry,
Got it.
Now
Shrek.
that
Yeah.
does make a good point, though. Do we want to put the slide rock monster with Shrek, or bump it up to B?
I feel like it mostly just gets points for being unique, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's inherently like it has like a little bit of a creep factor. I don't find it super creepy. I the only thing I really like about it is kind of its unique factor. So I feel like that's okay to stay at C.
Stay
Okay.
at C. All right.
I support that.
So, next up from Connecticut, the Melonheads.
F.
F, let's go.
No.
I don't care.
Okay, cool.
Can you
we're
say
move-
anything unique about it? Like, do we need to know anything?
They essentially they're tiny humans with huge heads working in the woods with bulging eyes, wiry limbs, and tend to bite people who dare tread into their territory.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
F. Yeah,
F-
that didn't convince
F
me
tier?
anything.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, next up, the Shelbyville Swamp Monster.
D. Oh wait, swamp. Sorry.
I do like the emo haircut, but hold on. He has a bat.
Like
he has a bat with
he
a
has
nail
a bat
in
with
it.
a nail. Yeah.
Let's put him
Look
with the
at
other
his
swamp
tail.
monster.
So here's the thing though.
Okay.
This thing has been described as follows, and it is inconsistent. It has both been seen as a large bipedal creature with a tail, like almost like a werewolf, but others account to see a ghost-like figure of a man. But they essentially like it's the same thing. It's a different form of it, I guess.
I'm sticking with C. That was not conclusive enough. That just is like two different things, and people are like, "No, I swear it's the same thing." So,
All right, Shelbyville Swamp Monster.
Are we putting him with the other swamp monster, or do we want to give
Yeah.
him some more points for walking around with a bat?
I don't want to separate our Sasquatch
Okay.
people too much. I think being right there with the other swamp monster. I think it's better than that swamp monster. So if you want to put it in that order, you can. But I think leaving it on the same tier is fine.
Got it. All right. Next up, the Florida Skunk Ape. This is just stinky Sasquatch. Like, this is just stinky Bigfoot.
Again, this is Florida, so I'm going to leave the jokes to myself, but I am going to say F.
Casey, do you concur?
Yeah, I agree. I was debating between D and F, so I'll just
F tier. above white thing, above melon heads, below
above-
melon heads.
I would say maybe above melon head, but
I would concur.
Okay. Next up, in Georgia,
ooh.
the Altamaha, huh? It's essentially it's a lake bound creature that's described to be 20 to 30 feet long with a sturgeon like body, so like bony ridges on top, and it's said to have large protruding eyes and a large sharp teeth. And apparently has been also, it's another one of those ones that's been seen like this has been a thing since like the natives.
Okay. Can you go back to our list real quick?
Yeah, I need to see where we put the other water guy.
So what I would say, the fact that it's lake bound does move it down a notch. So if you're okay with it, with the last one was it A?
B tier?
I think this one's B.
I was thinking B, and it's partly just because it's not quite as cool.
Yeah, honestly,
above Skinwalker, below Skinwalker.
I'd say below. Honestly, if we pulled that out of the ocean, no one would be like, "Oh my gosh!" It'd be like, "Yeah, that thing came from the ocean. It looks freaky." Which a lot of things from the ocean look freaky. I don't.
Now, if that thing got pulled out of a landlocked lake,
I would never go into a lake again.
Anyway, moving on. Hawaii. I believe this is literally just Menehune. They're anywhere between 2 feet tall and 6 inches tall.
Okay.
They it's essentially like they're supposedly they're basically like ancient aliens.
Okay.
I like that.
I do.
It's kind of cool.
I'm leaning like A or B. What do you think?
Just for the sheer different coolness, I'm cool with A.
Okay.
A tier, above or below?
I think below.
Got it. All right, Idaho. We got Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
It's essentially a like 35 feet long with a dinosaur type head, pronounced jaw, humps like a camel, shell like complexion. This is like more like the like Loch Ness monster-esque of Idaho.
Yeah, that's just kind of cute. I'm being
honest. Yeah. Are you good with B? Kind of the same. I feel like it's the same logic as the last one. It's a little bit bigger, but I don't feel like it deserves it to go up a tier
or down. Yeah. I like B.
B tier.
Yeah.
Above the other one.
It looks more like a dinosaur, so let's put it in the middle.
Got it. We have a whole episode about dinosaurs, technically. Anyway, moving on. Illinois, the Einfeld Horror.
Whoa. Interesting.
This thing is 4.5 feet tall, has 3 legs, 2 pink eyes, as big as flashlights, and has been seen hopping around like a kangaroo, leaving dog-like footprints with 6 toes. Now, this thing has also been seen hopping around 25 feet per jump. That is several Nathaniels. Several Nathaniels.
And even more Renners.
And even more Renners.
Oh. I really like this one. It lost a point when it hopped around. That for me, imagining that thing lurking in the woods was terrifying, and I loved it. And then I imagined it hopping around 25 feet of it, like into the air, and I'm like, yeah.
No, not vertically, horizontally.
Oh, so it could pounce on me and destroy me. Okay.
Yes.
All right, it did not lose a point. Never mind. Don't pounce on me. All right. Fair. What are you thinking, Nathaniel? I'm leaning high somewhere.
I'm leaning high. there's still something that kind of prevents me from saying S tier.
Because it looks like Sasquatch.
Yeah, there
I
is
mean,
just kind of this like
probably.
there's something very humanoid, and it even says like dog footprints. I'm like, this is clear, like pulling back the
Probably a
curtain. Like
dog.
this is probably just like a dog, but it does.
Are
have
we
a
so
really...
it's like low B, high C, or like are we thinking like high D, low C?
I like the creepy factor, so I would be willing to go up to an A. If not, I think it'd be the top of B. What do you
Top
think,
of B?
Casey?
I like top of B. The more I'm looking at this
Okay,
list, I like top of B
yeah,
Got it.
because we got the little alien Hawaiian guy at
yeah,
like the low A, and I don't think it's got that unique of a thing to get there.
agreed.
So I like it.
Got it. All right, next up. Indiana, the Beast of Busco.
That's just a turtle. F.
Yeah,
It's a giant six-legged snapping turtle.
Oh, it does have 6 legs. Okay.
so it's just a mutated turtle. So
What literally the description,
Antarctica.
but what does the Beast of Busco look like? Well, basically it's a giant snapping turtle.
Yeah. F or D for me.
let's go D. Like it's not
Okay.
bad,
D.
but it
It's
it
not
is
bad.
pretty-
It's just
yeah.
It's
not, like,
it was a turtle
awful.
that you saw. All right.
Yeah.
It was a turtle.
Better
in the
better
wild.
than
I'm okay,
than
bottom of D. I think is fine.
it's pretty uninspired.
It's a six-legged snapping turtle.
I like
so-
that wording. I like that. It's uninspiring.
Yes.
Uninspired. Yeah. That's
Got
nice.
it. Iowa, the Van Meter Monster.
Our first flying one, I
Mhm.
think.
The Van Meter Monster is described by a handful of citizens as a human-shaped beast with giant bat wings. It's said that the monster's head with a horn that glowed like a searchlight.
The horn glowed,
The horn glows like a searchlight.
and it has a horn like a unicorn.
Yes.
I don't know. The
As you
description
can see.
actually kind of bumped it down a little bit for me. Like it was just like, oh, it kind of looks like a human, but with wings and a flashlight on its head. And I'm like, oh, it's probably a human with
Okay.
like wings with a flashlight on its head.
Right. So here's what I want to do.
It's just the vulture, but with a flashlight because it's dark out.
Yes,
Hang on.
exactly.
I want to look up like some Google images of seeing like real fast. Wow, that really knocked it down. I shouldn't have done that.
Okay. Are you good with C? I was kind of
That was
leaning
just
towards
weird.
C.
Yeah, I like C because
Okay.
I still like the idea of it.
Mid C, low C.
I would rank it above the rock monster, I think.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing. Okay.
Yeah,
Next up, Sinkhole Sam from
That's-
Kansas.
that's a worm. Moving on.
How big is the worm? Let's give. Is this like
Okay.
dune levels of sinkhole sand?
It, 15 feet in length and as round as an automobile tire.
Was
So not quite dune
Condon?
level.
Not quite Dune level, but like
but would be really terrifying to see in person. Like that's bigger than a
I mean,
very large snake. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's still just a
It's
giant
still
worm,
uninspired
though.
though for me. Like
Yeah.
it's still like maybe D-ish or something. For me.
I'm good with D. That's kind of where I was leaning.
above the
it's still-
turtle or below the turtle.
It's still more inspired than a six-legged snapping turtle, though. So let's look
Alrighty. Next up, the Kelly Little Green Men or the Hopkinsville Goblins. I don't think I really need to describe these things.
probably
I think
not.
that's
What are you thinking, dude?
and these are from Kentucky, by the way.
like C or D. Like they're just like little creatures again. I'm kind of done with like little uninspired creatures. I like the Hawaiian one, but
Above Sinkhole Sam?
you know what?
Below-
Looking at the list, I think it's C. I think it's C.
High C, low C, mid C.
You're in D right now.
You're in D. Yeah.
Let's
Oh, my
let's
bad.
Casey, are you good with
low
just
C?
literally middle of C?
Yeah. Think so.
Okay,
Right there?
that's fine. Yeah,
Wait, I'm sorry. Can we go under the flying thing again?
yeah, I think
what it's called.
that's probably fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's
All
like a creepy Yoda, so it's just
All right, next up. This is one of my personal favorites, but it is from Louisiana, and it is the rougarou or the loup-garou.
Okay.
Essentially, this is a werewolf,
Okay.
but this thing has some interesting lore behind it. Essentially, a rougarou, it's a werewolf, but the thing is you're not like cursed with it unless you've either been bitten by another rougarou or you don't partake in Lent that year. You are cursed for 7 years as a rougarou, or if you break the Ten Commandments. It's like a Catholic thing.
Okay.
Interesting.
It's not where I thought that was going. Um, I
I mean,
mean,
for one, oh,
yeah.
go on.
No, you go for it.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it gets 1 point for being called a rougarou.
It does. I mean, if you
I mean,
just
that's
take
just
it,
unique.
yeah, if you just take it on like werewolf, that's pretty high. I mean, that's a really
It's got,
high
yeah,
thing.
it's
So
got a.
yeah, let's go with A.
A,
I
low
like
A, bottom A,
I think high A,
I
honestly.
think high A. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
high
it's
think
a
A.
I,
werewolf.
yep.
If it is
All
a
right.
werewolf, that's legendary
Werewolf is
status.
like top tier mythical creature. So I think that's good.
All right. From Maine, the specter moose. It's literally a 10 to 15 tall moose that is said to glow faintly and can appear and or disappear at will.
Stephen
That's
King
it.
heard this when he was a kid, and he's like, I could do better than Spectre Moose, and he did. So, no,
What book was that?
just any of them.
Oh, okay.
uh, that's really dumb.
Jump,
So,
yeah, jump over to our list real quick. Uh, I'd say put it next to that skunk thing. That's my opinion. I think. Nathaniel?
yeah, I think that's fair. I'm
Or
wondering if we
maybe
were
Right
a little.
here.
maybe
I
low
feel like
key.
no, I think that's fine. I'm wondering if we were a little harsh on Melonhead. Uh, but
We can
we
revisit
can
that.
revisit that later. But I
It's
think
just a
that
little
just the
Alright.
dude
fact
with a
that that
big
picture
head.
looks so it's true.
Next up, from Maryland, Chessie.
Jesse, I've actually heard of this one before, so it gets
I
points
have
for
two.
that.
Anywhere
Yeah,
from 25 to 40 feet long and swims like a snake through the water.
Dude,
I mean,
I would be freaking out so hard. I'd be
yeah.
traumatized for the rest of my life, dude.
If I mean, yes, you would, but it also wouldn't last much longer. So,
True. I'm not scared for long.
Like this kind of gives like you back like this kind of takes it back to like the whole like are dinosaurs like still around, like
yeah,
are like the depths of the like in the Marianas Trench. We haven't explored that completely yet.
no,
There could still be things down there.
Yeah.
yup.
So like this gives you back like this goes back to like the this might be a Titan boa. Do you guys know what a Titan boa is? Because those things are freaking scary.
I mean,
um,
I don't. I'm terrified with boa, let alone adding Titan to it. um.
truth.
Oh, can you jump over to our list? Because I'm thinking it's at least got to. I think it's got to at least be pretty close to the. I don't remember what it's called, but the dragon on A tier.
Yeah, the Telehul or something like that.
Yeah.
I
I don't.
think that's
What do you
fair.
think? Above or below it?
Um, I
I
mean,
mean, the dragon's
ultimately,
gets bigger
giant
too.
snake. So I think dragon gets a little bit more points. So
Okay.
I'll go
All
right
right.
below. I'll go
I
right below
support
dragon.
that.
Alrighty.
But I like.
Next
I
Really,
up,
think that's
this list is really just reiterating how much I'm terrified of the ocean.
good.
from
That's fair.
Massachusetts, we have the Dover Demon.
Huh.
The
Okay.
Dover Demon is described as having a rosy orange skin and a large head on a small stick-like body. It often travels on all fours and has glowing eyes.
They all have glowing eyes. Not all, but
That way you
uh,
can't take as good of a picture of it. Hmm. I don't know. This seems pretty middle of the road to me. Like I'm
yeah,
thinking, like
this one I particularly want to actually Google some of the.
Yeah, I'll let you look at a picture.
Thought-
I'm leaning anywhere between B and D. I could go for. Let's see.
This one's pretty unique. I don't know what you would get this
I mean,
mixed up with in nature.
It's just an alien, basically. Yeah, in terms of in
it is
nature,
just an alien. It is just kind of an alien.
I think I would give it more points if they were just like, we saw an alien, but they gave it the name of the Dover Demon, and I don't know. I just don't know.
Okay, Renner, how long has this been around? Do you have any idea?
I have. I could look it back up again.
We used to think everything was demon back in the day. That's why we say bless you when you sneeze. So I mean,
it's true.
1977.
Okay, that just dropped it like 2 points.
Yeah, I think we're solidly in like D, C or D territory. Yeah.
How would you feel about like an upper D?
I'm okay with that. Top of D is fine. The other one's just a Sasquatch.
Because I mean, I wanted to like this one. I'll admit. It's just the more we talk,
and then I said 1977.
Yeah.
Even before then, I was having doubts, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, before then, but that just like nailing the coffin.
Yeah. Yep.
That was just wartime propaganda, Cold War propaganda. Like, come on, guys.
Right.
Anyway, next up we have the Michigan Dogman. I don't think that's just a werewolf, but it's a dog.
But that name just ruined it.
Yeah, I'd say wherever our other werewolf is, I think it only ruins it by one. Because I mean, ultimately, it is still a werewolf.
It is so a B.
So a B. I think a B.
Put it next to the. Right next to the White Walker.
I think that's fine. The Skinwalker.
Skinwalker. I was like, wait, that's Game of Thrones.
Above or below?
I'll let Nathaniel decide on that.
Let's go below. Let's go below Skinwalker.
Got it. Next up.
Ooh,
I've heard of this one.
I have too.
Technically, you're not supposed to say this one's name because its name holds power.
Well, I'm gonna follow the rules because I don't want to meet that thing.
Anyway, this is called the Wendigo. It is essentially it's essentially it has many different iterations. It has many different looks. Most Wendigo lore states that this is someone who in the past survived off of eating human flesh. That is how they survived, and it turned them into a monster.
Okay, so I'm going to put all this together real quick, because one, we've all heard of this, which is impressive. Yep. The description is actually pretty cool. It also may have started the rumor about, like, eating flesh turns you completely insane.
Maybe.
Or at least is possibly rooted in the same thing. I'm not going to speak into the validity of that either way, because that's not the kind of podcast we are. So, like, I'm
we
honestly
should talk about that in a later episode.
Okay. If we get a doctor or something to actually knows what the crap they're talking about, we can talk about that.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards S tier personally.
Oh well, okay. Then I don't even need to do this because I was going to have you Google some images of it because bad A, dude.
Like I've
S
seen,
tier,
like
hands down.
Yeah, like I've seen, like I actually know what this one is. So
I mean, look at some of those images, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like I fought something like that in The Witcher 3. So, yeah, S tier. I think this is worthy of an S tier.
Okay, Renner, we're good now.
Some of those are very different from what I was looking at. But,
yes.
But.
Okay, Renner,
I mean,
focus.
That.
We have like 20, 30.
Okay, above or below Dark Watchers?
I'm okay with above. Yeah.
I'm very okay with above.
Above? Yep. All right. Next up. From Mississippi, the Pascagoula River aliens.
Okay.
They're robot-like they're robot-like aliens that were just over 5 feet tall.
Robot?
that they were seen one time and then they were never seen again.
So F.
Yep. I'm gonna go with F.
I mean, robot. I mean, honestly, robot like alien. I mean, it
Robot like
that
alien.
contradicts each other in my mind.
That's fair. Basically normal human height, only seen
Right.
one time. That is like a recipe for F tier for me. So
I mean,
But okay, so in their defense, the quote the people that's the witnesses were completely sober.
but they were high AF.
Completely sober.
No, I guess that would
Completely sober.
Yeah, that's fine. They're still F. So like that
F
doesn't
tier?
convince
Got
me.
it.
F tier. Yep.
I mean, their story would intrigue me enough, but the overall, what we're doing here, I'm gonna go with F.
Above
Yeah.
melon heads, below melon heads.
But look, I'm okay with just bottom of F. Like that's
Agreed.
just yep.
Got it. Next up from Missouri, the Momo, or the Missouri Monster.
Bobo.
It's essentially a foul-smelling, hairy monster that leaves 3 toed footprints. According to witnesses, the creature seems to have no neck and was 6 to 7 feet tall. Its face was hidden in a mass of hair.
I would say next to one of the other D or C's.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm okay. Let's see. What do we have? Let's put him in between the alien and the other Sasquatch on D.
D. Yeah. Agreed.
Here or
No,
here?
D.
There.
D. Yep, right there.
There we go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Next up, from Montana, the Shunka Warakin. Warakin.
Is there any? Okay, is there
it just a
anything
werewolf?
unique about him besides a werewolf?
It's this monster is actually real. Whether it's a monster or not is up to debate, but a 19th century rancher killed and mounted the creature, and which had pestered local natives for generations. Today, the owner of the stuffed creature refuses to have its DNA tested. So the monster is truly a mystery, but it's described as a nearly black creature with high shoulders and a back that is sloped down much like a hyena, but it's like a lot bigger.
So, Casey, you can actually Google the picture of it. Like, it's actually the stuffed version of it.
I want to see this. What does this look like?
I mean,
So why would he not allow a DNA test?
because it's probably just like a dog. It just looks funny. So, I think,
Bruh, this could have been the last dire wolf, and they just shot and killed it.
Yeah. I mean, I just the fact that it's either realistically just a kind of deformed or mutated version of an animal we have, or just the last of a species, is interesting, but not in terms of what we're talking about. There's not a lot of mystery behind it. There's not a lot of intrigue behind it. It's just like, oh, here it is. So, like, I'm kind of leaning like C or D because there is an element of that story that is interesting.
I would like to give it a C. I want to
Okay.
go a little on the higher end of your thoughts there, just because it is real. There is some mystery to it.
There's also the fact that it's real. That is like, I also think that's why it's so low too.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. This is kind of a hard one. Being real kind of makes it hard for this list.
Yeah, because everything else is just like pure fantasy.
With that said, let's just slap it in the middle and call it a day.
Yeah.
I would go lower side of C.
Let's go right below the winged creature, above the tiny goblin thing. I think that's good.
Right there?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll work.
Next up, we have from Nebraska, we have the Alkali Lake Monster. This is supposedly considered to be a hoax, but then again, people have seen this thing. It is described as a giant brown alligator with a rhinoceros horn, being anywhere between 40 and 100 feet long.
That's
40
really
and
big.
100.
So
That's really
that
big.
bumped it up. That bumped it up a little bit for me because I was just like, it's just an alligator with a horn, but that's massive. So
That is massive. But the fact that it's already being spoken, I mean, we know there's a chance all this is a hoax and none of this is real, of course.
yeah,
But the fact that it's already in the article, it's already like here, like, this is already said to be a hoax. Like, that
yeah.
lessens the excitement about it. But I do, as a creature, and we already talked about the water bit. I mean, I like this thing.
Yeah, go back to the list real quick. I have an idea. What do you think of just putting it bottom of B? Kind of right there with those other water
Kind of with
creatures.
that one, kind of with that similar-ish creature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. All right, moving on. Next up, from Nevada, we have the Tahoe Tessie. It's an 80-foot long sea serpent
Right.
that's kind of like Nessie.
Yeah, so just put it. I'd put it right next to that other one, unless you could tell me something quite different about it that
The
bumps
fact
it
that
up
they
or down.
didn't even name it original, like it's literally the name is based off of a different
This
monster.
this thing has been seen by the native tribes of Nevada. This thing goes back from before we showed up.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I think it's okay just to leave it with the other ones in the bottom of B territory.
So I'd put it right next to that one though. That other one. Sorry, the other long neck one. Up a little. Yeah. So
Either way.
indifferent. Yeah, either way.
We'll
just
do
let
this.
go and find out.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. New Hampshire, the Wood Devils or the Wood Devils of Coos County. According to eyewitness reports, these sleek wood devils are so good at blending in with their surroundings that you might walk into one before you saw it. Those who claim to have seen them describe them as more than 7 feet tall and covered in grayish hair.
Okay. I like the idea of these. It's like basically they blend in with trees, so you literally run into it, you get right next to it, and then it's too late. So
I honestly, I really am digging this. I kind of want to put it. You can argue if you need to, but I kind of like it up to there with the California, the S tier, the California ones.
the Dark
I forget what they're called.
Stalkers or whatever.
The dark
Below or above?
maybe below. I mean, well,
Yeah,
Nathaniel,
it would be bottom of S. I was leaning towards A, but I'm okay putting it.
how about a high A?
Top A?
Let's go top of A. I feel better about that. I just don't feel like the fact. I don't know. S tier is like something super special, and that one is like it's a tree that can kill you. So
I mean, it's fair. I liked the idea of it.
the vibe is interesting. The vibe is very interesting. I agree.
All right. Next up, from New Jersey, we all know what this thing is. It's the Jersey Devil.
We've all heard of that one.
Its description is upon the newly born an 18th century mother, frustrated that she'd fallen pregnant yet again, cursed out loud that her unborn 13th kid would be the devil. Big mistake. Although born human-like, the little guy soon mutated into a midwife-slaughtering, cattle-bothering demon we know and love today. Upon the newly born child's sudden transformation, it grew a goat head, hooves, bat-like wings, and a barbed tail.
Okay. Nathaniel.
I don't know. I like
It's
idea.
just the Antichrist. It's the Antichrist.
Honestly, I'm thinking like B. Like I like the idea, but like there's
Honestly,
just something
the story, getting more details about it, like kind of ruined it for me. So
Agreed. Because I was
I'll
thinking a
give you
little bit
B.
higher. Let's do B.
Yeah, I
Let's
mean,
do.
I was thinking up there. I was possibly thinking near the Wendigo just because of the legendary status of
Yeah.
it. I've heard of it, but I never heard the story. And that, I mean,
High
that's
B.
Let's go below Skinwalker. I think that's just kind of a good little spot for it.
Got it.
yeah.
Next up, from New Mexico, we have the Teratorns. These are essentially airplane-sized predatory birds that span up with wings that span up to 20 feet long. They have paint. It's essentially like large vultures.
I mean, that's just
Like
a giant bird.
think a Cessna-sized vulture. If you don't know what a Cessna is, it's a small, like private propeller-driven plane.
Yeah, the plane. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It's
still
still
not super.
uninspired.
Yeah, it's just a big bird. I
It's
mean,
just a
it's
big bird.
basically Sesame Street. No,
Just not yellow. Um, C, there we go. F tier. No,
I mean, genuinely, like C or D, I'm okay with. Like, I don't think it deserves F, but like, it kind of, to me, it kind of reminds me of like the snapping turtle with 6 legs. It's just a big bird.
I would
Bottom
put
of
it.
D.
I would put it. I mean, yeah, I'd put it next to the turtle right
I
there
think that's fine. Yep.
because it's just
All
different.
right. Next up, we have Champy from
Why
New
are
York.
why are all the water ones have these like cute names?
In 1819, Captain Crumb of the ship Beluga Bay, uh, Ba- Bulwaga Bay, saw a black monster that stretched up to 187 feet long. According to him, the monster had a head like a seahorse and eyes the color of a peeled onion. It also had sharp teeth and a white scar on its forehead.
So the idea of it is really cool. I don't like the fact that like all the description basically came from one dude, and he's like, "No, I swear it looked like this."
Yeah.
Also, hold on. Centuries ago, the the I'm gonna butcher this. The Abenaki and Iroquois people called the creature of Champlain Lake Tatoskuk. So
Okay.
apparently, this thing is old.
Okay. That bumps it back up. Yeah. In that
That
case,
helps.
I do still think it just goes with all the other ones in
All
B.
these ones, or this one, or this tier? They just here
I'm thinking B. What do you think, Casey?
I'm
with the
thinking
other.
B. I'm thinking
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
think
have
that's
that like
I mean, but it's called Champy.
yeah.
It's called Champy. He's
I
just
mean,
a cute little guy. He's just a happy little guy.
you just want to
All right,
pat him on
next
the head.
up from North Carolina, the Beast of Bladenboro.
Ooh.
This thing has been this beast's actions include draining the blood of full-grown horses. All right, this thing has been seen from the 1950s and then all the way up to 2003, so 20 years ago. But locals still keep their pets in at night just in case. Residents have described this thing as 4.5 feet long, bushy, and resembling either a bear or a panther. It is said to make the sound of a crying baby.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
Ooh, the art is.
Yeah, I think the art is doing a lot for it. To be fair, like, I think if you
Yeah,
had
and I
just read that, or are you
well,
talking
I
about
mean,
stuff you googled
sucking the
itself?
blood of a horse. That I
Yeah,
mean, there's something to be said about that.
it's like a vampire cat, bear, panther thing.
I mean, yeah.
Uh,
So googling it's definitely like a vampire cat
okay,
kind of thing, but like a beastly one. Like it's pretty.
okay.
I mean, there are beastly cats, obviously, but I don't know. What are you thinking?
I'm leaning pretty
I like
high.
this
I'm
one.
thinking like A or B territory.
Can you, Renner? Can you jump over to our list? Because I'm kind of leaning towards A. Ooh, we already got like that werewolfy thing. Can we put him like maybe? You think above that one or below it?
Um,
Now you got to remember, this isn't a werewolf. This is its own little creature thing
yeah, no,
That is true. It
let's
is
go.
its own
Let's
thing.
go above. Let's go. Mm, yeah,
above the Rougarou.
I think I'm okay above the. Oh, I really like the Rougarou.
But I mean,
I don't know.
keep in mind the Rougarou is like a werewolf. That's
Yeah,
classic.
I think that's good. I think leave it there. All right, below
Got it.
Rougarou feels good.
Right below it. I like
Sounds good. All right, next up from North Dakota, we have the Thunderbird. This thing essentially has the ability to stir up storms and shoot bolts of lightning from its wings. It's described as very colorful with lots of yellow and red tints and has a thick neck and was reported to have a wingspan of 12 feet. That's a little bit under 2 Nathaniels.
Yes, it's a foot less.
I like how Nathaniel is our measuring unit now.
Yes.
Uh,
When no one actually knows me in real life, so like I could be
Just
5'7".
Nathaniel, all you have to do is go stand and just put your heads in between your fan blades, and people will know how tall you are.
I can just touch my ceiling like palm up. So like, but with that said, I like the description helped this one because again, I was kind of leaning towards this is just a bird, but it's a bird that controls weather and can shoot lightning. That's kind of cool.
Also, the name of a car.
It is the name of a car. So what do we do with just a bird was really low. So I'm thinking
it was D tier, bottom of D.
Okay, well, and we do have that flying creature in C. I can't remember the name of these things.
Yeah, I think this one just go for it. Sorry.
Well, no, finish your thought because I'm still.
I think it deserves to go in B. If you're looking at C, this one's more interesting than everything in C to me. I feel like it's in that B category. I can maybe go bottom of B if that feels better, but I'm kind of thinking that tier.
No, I like it. The only thing that one of my first thoughts, I really like the idea of this one. One of my first thoughts though is a dude just saw a crazy thunderstorm, and
yes,
he just was like,
a dude saw a plane flying through a thunderstorm. That's what he saw.
Yeah. Hey,
he was drunk. He was a little inebriated.
If he saw a bird flying through a thunderstorm and saw the bird flying after, and it was like that bird caused that, that's actually kind of cool for that bird. So,
I mean, respect to that bird for sure.
Yes, so. Yes.
Alrighty. Next up, from the Abyss, Ohio, the Loveland Frogmen.
With a wand?
They are 3 human-like. Hold on. In 1955, a man pulled over to help 3 human-like frog figures on the side of the road. He saw creatures around 4 feet tall with webbed hands and green leathery skin. They had frog faces, and the largest of them held a wand over its head, which was spitting sparks. Bruh just ran up against like a new a Halloween prank. Like that's what he did.
I mean, either that or drugs. Just drugs were involved, and he was messing with some frogs in the street.
Okay, Casey.
This is just a failed Harry. This is just a failed Harry Potter amnegus.
Oh, that's great.
I'm good with F on this one.
Yeah. I agree.
I feel like top F though.
Yeah, it has some interesting things in there, so I'll give it top of F.
The wand shooting sparks. It just does it for me, you know?
Just for entertainment value, I'll give you that.
Okay, that's fair. I think
all right.
That's fair.
Next up from Oklahoma, the Oklahoma octopus.
It's even
according to the rumor, this is a horse-sized shark-toothed octopus that came to live in lakes, in multiple lakes. This freshwater cephalopod is the size of a horse and resembles an octopus with long tentacles and leathery reddish-brown skin.
Okay, So I'm just gonna break this down. For originality, it gets like 0 points. For
Yeah.
intimidation, it's an octopus with some sharpness. It gets like 2 points. Uh, it's kind of dumb. So, I mean, if there was an actual octopus in a lake, I think it deserves the D. It has that uninspiredness of D that I feel like we're kind of leaning in.
Really, I would say, for me personally, I would say higher, just because we're talking water, and I mean, octopus are they're terrifying. So,
Okay.
not really, but
to me, out of all of the water creatures, octopus is pretty low on the intimidation factor.
Oh,
like,
on this
given
list,
if I was ever like face to face with one in the water, I'd be like, oh no, run away. But
yeah,
like it.
I mean,
this is pretty
low
rated.
This one or giant worm?
I give this one props over giant worm. So
okay,
there we go.
I think right in the middle of D.
All right, next up from Oregon, Colossal Claude.
Okay, can we just skip the conversation and just put them with all the other ones? I feel like let's just stick them with B. I think just throw them in B with the water section.
Lower.
We're categorizing the.
Okay, yeah.
From Pennsylvania, the Squonk.
What the frick is that? Mutated pig?
It's like they looked at a pig's butt and without realizing it was a pig's butt, and they were like, "Oh
According
my gosh,
to witnesses, the Squonk has shaggy, ill-fitting skin covered in warts. It's ashamed of its appearance, hence the tears. It has the ability to cry itself into a pool of water and then disappear."
That's the saddest cryptid. Like that doesn't make me scared at all. That just makes me kind of want to hug it, but in that kind of like, oh no, okay.
Wait, so it disappears in a pool of water that it created with its own tears. So somebody sat there and watched this thing like cry enough to make a pool of water?
Or they might have just made up a story about it. Who knows?
Hold on.
While he's looking up.
No, this is from 1910. Somebody captured this thing.
Wait.
And it was apparently captured. It cried itself, and then literally it started crying. Homie turned away, and then it was gone. And it was just in a puddle, there was just a puddle of water, and it was just gone.
It just peed and ran away. That's what happened.
All right, where do we want to put the Squonk?
Interesting.
I think we give him high C for him being sad.
I want to give him pity points. I feel like
high C.
I'm okay with low C. High C is a bit much.
I guess I get that.
Mid C. Mid C.
Okay, do we compromise with Renner? Poor Renner's over here, he wants to show him.
He just feels bad for the crying little squonk.
I do. The crying little he's just a sad little guy. All right, next up. From Rhode Island, we have Vampire Mercy Brown.
Is there anything?
It's just a vampire that's apparently been seen since the 19th century.
I mean, respect.
She was discovered dead. And when they dug her up, months later, they didn't dig her up. Apparently, they discovered one of them. They were digging up the whole family because there was multiple people of this person's family kept dying. So to investigate, they kept digging up the graves. After a couple of months of this person having already being dead, perfectly preserved, no rot, nothing. Never mind that she'd only been dead for 2 months and was buried in the coldest winter. She was probably a vampire.
Okay. So I mean, just for act of being vampire, I was gonna go pretty high, but the fact that this is just like an not even inexplicably, fairly explainable preserved dead person, I'm thinking like C. Is that okay? What do we think of Casey?
Can we go high C mainly because it is vampire?
Yeah, like vampire was gonna. Honestly, I was thinking pretty high, and then we heard the story, and I'm like, that's not a vampire. That's just a well preserved body. So high C
Yeah.
is fine. I think that's fine.
Well, just for the idea of it being a vampire.
Yeah.
High C.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it. All right, next up from South Carolina, the Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp.
The lizard man.
Reports of what emerged from the lake was a green, wet, 7-foot tall creature with scales. Furthermore, it had 3 fingers and red eyes.
From the 80s.
Yes.
Casey, I'll let you lead this one.
It's just a giant lizard from the 80s.
It's a lizard man.
Yeah, I mean, ugh.
Bruh, lizard men exist. Have you seen Mark Zuckerberg talk to the frickin' government?
I was
eyes
wondering
just
which direction
blinking
you were going
this.
with that.
His eyes just like blinking like this way.
I mean, you're not wrong though. There is some form of legendary status with Lizard Man.
That's
So,
fair.
I do got to give it. You're right. I got to give it some points for that.
I would give it more respect if it was a lizard man who disguises himself as a human. Like that's the lore of what we're talking about. This is just a lizard man in a swamp. So
I mean, yeah, that's Trump. I mean, yeah.
Well, maybe he hadn't been indicted into the lizard men Illuminati yet. Like maybe that's where they're born.
He was working up the ranks, right?
Like he was just born. He just finally like grew up enough to where he could
that's not the case.
venture out.
He would be lizard boy.
Well, no, I just said he grew up in his swamp, and it was finally time for him to leave the nest and go out and venture forth into his life as disguising himself as instrumental human people. And
Nathaniel, how would you feel about above or below Vampire Lady on C?
Yeah, I think
Or do you
below.
wanna
I
go
don't think
lower?
top of C, but below Vampire Lady. I think that's fine.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I was kind of struggling with that one. So
Yeah, that's fair.
all right, next up from South Dakota, the Takuhei or Takuhi.
Oh, a top hat. Extra point.
Extra point for Top Hat. So right now he's sitting in D.
Apparently, he's been seen multiple times in the 1970s. This hairy gentleman apparently had a thing for tearing the genitals from local cattle.
Well, I hate that.
That has been spotted mostly in wide open areas, staring creepily at witnesses. Often seen in a coat and top hat, it is usually dragging some form of dead prey behind it.
Okay. I'm thinking kind of, it's got some cool lore behind it. Like if I found my cattle genital list
randomly ripped off.
Yeah. So I think I'm up there with B. I think I'm okay with B. Maybe C.
I was thinking C. I think B.
Okay, let's go with the next to the other ones in C.
Yeah.
I think that's
He gets extra points for wearing a top hat and a coat. He's very gentlemanly.
I like the way that it actually described him as like a gentleman Sasquatch. So I was like, I kind of like that. There's something. I mean, then you hear about what he does, and I'm like, that's not very gentlemanly.
That's not very gentlemanlike.
Don't rip balls off animals.
Next up from Tennessee, the Tennessee Wild Man. It's just fat Sasquatch.
He doesn't have a top hat. D.
It has been described as stout.
I'll still
It-
give it D because it's not called Wild Thing. So
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. Slap it with all
just
the other
in that
basics.
little section with the other two, I think is fine.
He's going below Momo.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, next up from Texas, the Chupacabra.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I've
there's
heard
some
of that one.
there's some biasness here because spoiler alert, we're all from Texas. We're all very familiar. I'm gonna speak for everyone. I feel like we're all pretty familiar with the Chupacabra.
You know, I actually don't know the lore behind Chupacabra. Honestly.
Okay, here, Renner,
It it's interesting. It has a lot of different. It's essentially what it does is it will literally like it's like its name translates to goat sucker. It literally goes through farmlands, drains animals of their blood, and or eats them depending on where you're at, and then just disappears. Those who have seen it describe it as like it's like some sort of like furry animal that has needle-like teeth, red eyes, a row of spines down its back, and it has bat wings.
Whoa.
So
Alright.
go back to the list. I have
So-
a proposition, but I want to see where we landed on things.
See, I was gonna ask because the the horse blood sucking.
Yeah, so that's an
Cat.
A. Yeah,
And I just
because
because
what I was
more
gonna
unique-
say,
Okay, go. For
yeah,
it.
and what I was gonna say is like to me it takes that one which we put in A, but also to me it has that legendary status. So I think it's okay to I would put it at the bottom of S tier. Again, there might fairly be some
Yeah.
biasness
I mean,
there, but
Yeah, and I didn't even know the lore behind it. I had just heard of it and know it comes from where we live. So I mean,
Yeah.
I was still. It's really cool. So I was gonna say like high A or S somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
All right, from Utah, we have the Bear Lake Monster. This is essentially more like a mosasaur. It was also seen multiple times and documented in 1868.
I do like it when they go further back. I gotta say.
yeah, I mean, with that said, I mean, I still think it just kind of belongs in that section where we have all the other ones.
Apparently,
There's
there was
nothing-
also prize money for those who, or if somebody could catch it.
That's fair.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think we're good. Just
Yeah.
to
I mean, I
toss it in
agree.
that
Yeah,
section.
just tossing it with the other ones.
Alrighty.
Kind of B.
Yeah, just toss it in the middle of that. Yep, that's great.
Clump it all together.
Got it.
Next
Next up.
they all start to look alike.
From Vermont, the Northfield Pigman.
Man, bear, pig.
It's
Yes.
essentially like it's a monster. It's been seen emerging from the woods. It walked like a man, but it's covered in white fur and had a pig's face.
Uh, 1950s though, man, they were smoking something. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we've seen so many like this that I'm just kind
Yeah,
of.
it's a Sasquatch with a pig face. So like, I think that gives it points. So okay, let's
slightly
go back.
different.
Let's go back.
No, it's a werewolf. It's a werewolf, but a pig.
Oh, it's a werewolf Sasquatch pigman.
So that,
Okay.
Well, with that said, it loses the point.
Yeah, I think that actually knocks it down. So okay, let's go back to the list real quick. So we have werewolf. I'm okay with C. I think it kind of deserves the C category.
I like
Just like
C.
the middle. I mean, it does put it with the other Sasquatches, which is kind of what it is basically. So I feel
mean,
like that's okay.
If you want it,
I
we
know
can
it's
put it we can put it on the higher side of C with above the other one. Oh, we can't get it. We can't put it above the top hat. Yeah.
Yeah,
He goes
right
below
there.
top hat.
He goes below top hat. He's
I mean,
not a
top
gentleman.
All
He
right.
comes off top.
Next up from Virginia, the Snallygaster.
Ooh, I like the name.
This is like a dragon.
I mean, S
Okay.
tier. You had me at dragon.
This thing is apparently was seen 3 centuries after, or has been seen multiple times, even after it was first originally seen 3 centuries after it was first spotted. It even has a guest role in the Harry Potter universe. Early settlers told tales of a demonic bird-like creature with metallic beak filled with teeth. In 1909, locals reported seeing a bird-like monster with enormous wings, a pointed bill, claws, and claws like steel hooks, and eyes in the center of its forehead.
All
I'm
right, I'm
not
just
gonna
gonna
lie.
throw this out there. Oh, what
Go
you
for
thinking?
it. No, you
No.
go for it.
Okay. I like the crap out of this, so I mean, like, for me, it'd be like pretty much S tier. But you know
So
me, I'm a sucker for dragon-like things. So,
I will say, I think the picture affects our view of this one. If I had just given you that description, where it's like a bird that has like
okay,
metal stuff, I feel like you'd be putting it pretty low. So
okay. Let me
why don't you look at some
Google it.
pictures of it?
Oh,
Because
ew.
because
What
I didn't
crap is
I
that?
didn't really hear like very many dragon like descriptions
That's true.
from that description. That picture made it look like. See, that's like a weird.
Nathaniel.
Yeah, it's like a metal bird. Uh, yeah, see that it to me it knocks it down quite a bit. I think that picture was doing a lot for
Okay,
it.
the one that hang on. That
Wait,
they
it shoots tentacles from its beak?
that
It's like a
I mean,
flirkin.
come on. I mean, that's like some Cthulhu crazy creepy stuff. So I agree that I'm gonna knock it from S, but
Yeah,
I still like this thing, especially with
okay.
the like tentacles out its face. Like, I mean,
Are you okay
that's
with
cool.
bottom of A? Is that too far down, or are you good with that?
I mean, if you're comfortable with bottom A, I'll even accept like high B if you need it there. But
I think putting an A is fine. I think it could even go in the middle. Like I don't think. Yeah, I feel good with that. I think that's fine.
all right, all right.
All right, next
Yeah.
up from Washington, it's Bigfoot.
Yeah. Okay, I
That
mean,
that when you guys said at the beginning of the episode that thing about Bigfoot, I was sitting over here like rubbing my hands. I'm like, oh, it's about to go down. I can't wait till we get to the end of this list.
So, with that said, I know we have kind of badmouthed Bigfoot a lot in this video, but I feel like a lot of that was so many of those other ones were basically Bigfoot ripoffs. I think with Bigfoot, Casey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have to give Bigfoot S tier. Also, Hawaiian Man moved from A to S accidentally.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think also like I'm bored of Bigfoot, so that's why I
Yeah,
want to knock him down. But I agree with you. Like
yeah.
he has to go S tier because
I
he
think
is
he's
just that in this conversation especially he is just that legendary status.
yep,
Everybody's heard of Bigfoot. It doesn't matter.
yep.
So
I think that's fair. I like putting him at the bottom as well because
Bottom of S.
I don't he doesn't have that interesting factor like you're talking about. It's like we're just kind of bored of it. But everything the legacy of him pushes him up enough. So,
yeah.
All right, next up from West Virginia, it's Mothman.
okay, that's another good one.
That is
I'm sorry, you guys don't get to input on this one.
it's
It's top S. It's top S.
Top
And
S.
that's
Okay.
it's top S, and that's mostly
Okay.
because and let me give you some descriptions out
Yeah,
of
there you go.
and I've been into cryptids for a long time. So Mothman has been described as a 6 to 7 foot tall man with huge wings and red eyes in the center of its quote unquote headless body. But there's also a lot of different sightings where it's like if a man and a moth went like that. And we're like and the Mothman is one of the only cryptids that genuinely scares me.
Okay.
fair.
That's fair. Okay, I'll accept. I did want a description just because I don't think Mothman has that universality that Bigfoot does. So I did want to talk through that one, but I think that's fine.
All right, next up from Wisconsin, we have the Beast of Bray Road.
Where did we put the other beast? Slap him with that one.
Yeah, he's a
Okay.
werewolf. Is he? Yeah. Is there anything unique about him that makes him more than a werewolf or less than a werewolf?
No.
Like a man who worked out a little bit.
Yeah, that's about it. It's just a buff werewolf. It's
Why
like
is that
it's just
hyperlinked?
it's just I don't know. I actually hold on. Open link in new incognito tab. We couldn't find the page you were looking for. This is either because there is an error in the URL entered into the web browser, or the page you were looking for has been moved or deleted. Oh, wait a second. No, this just took me to a brand new website called American Hauntings. Haunted history, books, tours, and events.
That's a whole other.
This covers everything in America from like ghost stories to cryptids.
Nice. Okay.
Interesting.
Question is, did that just bump the beast up a little bit, or no? Just kidding.
Okay. Where are? I mean, I think is A too high? Because I'm seeing the one on A. I think I also see one on B.
Where?
We also have
like
one
it
on
deserves
C.
A.
Yeah, we also have one on C.
Let's just split the. Are you good with just tossing it in there with B? I feel like it's
Sure.
it's a
Low
werewolf.
B.
Low B.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We got some werewolves kind of scattered a little bit
Yeah.
for different reasons. So just
Which I feel
All
okay
right.
with, because there are differences between
They're different.
them. So yeah.
This is our last cryptid of the night.
Ooh.
Homing from Wyoming, it's the jackalope.
Hey, another one.
Oh, I have heard of this. I'm not gonna lie. Okay.
So,
can I be honest real quick?
Go
I
for
kind of
it.
thought jackalopes were a real thing until right now. So
Oh,
I was like,
well,
isn't
the thing is, so here's the thing. We've got a real one, folks. But while the true explanation for the existence of horned rabbits may be scientifically satisfying, it still doesn't account for the fact of these terrifying but tragic creatures apparently sing along with human songs. Like, they've been, quote unquote, like encountered by the cowboys of back in the 1800s, singing by their campfires, singing along. Also, apparently, the horns are actually cancerous tumors coming out of their skulls.
wow.
Fun. Okay, so I'm gonna talk through my thought process. I don't have like a definitive answer. I'm just gonna talk this through, and maybe you can help me get like. So, in terms of knowing about it, jackalope I think ranks pretty high. It's also a real thing, so that we talked about, that kind of makes it a little bit harder.
It's
nail
like,
down.
it's a real creature. What are we doing here?
Creepiness factor to me is kind of low. You have a singing. He's like, I think it's like, oh, it's singing with them, but I'm like, that's just kind of cute. So,
go back to the Stick there real quick, Renner. All right, go on, Nathaniel.
Yeah, I mean I think that's generally it.
First impression, low B.
I'm good with that.
I mean, that feels a little cop out, but I don't know where to play. Whenever they're kind of a real thing, like I just don't know when.
I think the last real thing is in like the lower part of C. I feel like this one's more interesting than that one. That was just like a slightly mutated dog that got caught. I think there's more to this one, so I think I'm okay. I think I'm good with a low B.
Okay, it is.
All right, anything we're feeling we should change? I'm going to present one real quick with Melonhead.
Okay, I was wondering
like
if you wanted to
Melonhead on F? Because if you look at everything else that's with Melonhead, I mean, it is
Hang on.
kind of dumb though.
L-
So
let me just Google melon head.
okay,
What state was that again?
I don't remember.
I wish it would. It can't. It's not focusing on my end. Oh well. Let's see what happens
oh man, okay. I mean, the images just make it look
It's
like
from Connecticut.
here. Connecticut.
it makes it look like a child just with a disease, which just kind of makes me sad.
Yeah.
So
I honestly, I'm cool with leaving it on F.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I just
think
think
that's
that was
fair.
a person with maybe a deformity and somebody being kind of a dick. So
Yep, I agree. Okay, I'm just gonna look through here. So Renner, why don't you just go ahead? We don't have to read out everything, but why don't you just read out our S tier real quick?
Alrighty, our S tiers are the Mothman, the Wendigo, the Dark Watchers, the Chupacabra, and, of last but not least, Bigfoot.
I like it. I like it.
I approve of that. I do think the Darkmen kind of fit weird in there, but I still really
honestly,
like them too.
The Darkmen kind of fit weird in this whole thing. Everything else is like kind of a more descriptive, like it's like this is this thing, but that is just like
true.
Mysterious shadow,
mysterious.
everywhere.
Which is why we put it on S tier. That was one of our reasonings. So I mean, I
other
stand
one,
by what we've done, but
yeah, I agree. The other one that's similar is kind of the woods one, the one that's like kind of like a tree but with gray fur. So, and that's right up there with A. I think those are good. So,
yep. I like it. All right, so to just finish this out, Renner. I mean, obviously we know your opinion on the Mothman. So is there any other ones that you would have substantially put somewhere different? Out of curiosity.
I personally would have probably put the Skinwalker at least high A.
Okay.
And that's mostly
I think that's
I think I would
and that's mostly because the Skinwalker is also one of those ones where it's like it's kind of like the Wendigo where like you can kind of go anywhere like and I think that's why it's so notorious of just like you can go anywhere and like that like there's a story of like some sort of form of Skinwalker or they have their own sort of story about it. I think that's the only one I probably would have done anything with. And then like the Jackalope I probably would have put like at the top of B, but that's also just because everybody knows the Jackalopes.
Yeah.
Other than that,
pretty similar.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, I do think in retrospect, I mean, I think I would agree with Skinwalker.
I think that's the only thing that I would have done.
I think Skinwalker coming so early kind of made it where it's like, let's just put it in
the thing is the reason that one came first is because, like, no state, like, the closest thing that, like, each, like, that a state had was the Wendigo, but also I knew that if I said Skinwalker, you guys would know what that thing is. Or have had at least heard of it. So therefore, I was like, all right, this is like baseline. You know what it is, or you've heard of it. So therefore, we can go with that. That's what we'll start with. That's why it wasn't even included in the list, but I just still needed to put something out.
That's fair. And I mean,
that's fair.
I mean, it's one of those, like, I like that we started with in the middle, but after getting this full list, it feels weird having it next to all of those, like, kind of
the like the B list monsters, like like
I mean,
the like this Monsters Inc. looking ass motherfucker.
yeah, but
like some of these, I'm just like some kid watched Monsters Inc. a little too early in life and then just had a nightmare.
Yeah,
it's true.
Like
what? Like a really big bird.
I think I would have put all of our. I think that I do have one other thing. I probably would have put all of our like, oh, these are just animals.
Yeah.
I would have put like uninspired animal. These are just large animal. I probably would have put all of them at F tier.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
that's fair.
See, I at least like the fact that for the most part, I think everything in S tier is just kind of stupid. And that's why I like
In
I
F
don't think
tier
those
or in
in F. Sorry, F.
Yeah.
I think I said S. Everything
you
in
said
F tier
S,
to
and I was
me-
like,
yeah,
wait,
no,
in S
no,
tier, huh?
that doesn't make sense. Everything in F tier to me is just kind of stupid. At
Yeah.
least with those animals, I'm like, there's some validity to it. It's clearly based off a real creature, but it's not stupid. It's just, the word we kept going to, uninspired. It's
Uninspired,
very
yeah.
uninspired, but it's not stupid. To me, everything in F tier is
Like
stupid.
a frog with a wand.
Yes.
Yeah, but you also have to admit it's really stupid, but it's really stupid in like a me kind of stupid, like in a funny way.
Oh,
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely fun. For sure.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Nerd Cops podcast. If you want to go ahead and check us out, all of our social links, or at least Nathaniel's, will be in the description below. I have never done this kind of thing on camera, so I hope this is okay. Tune in next week as we discuss whatever we're doing next week. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No.
No? Alrighty. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and let us know in the comments what your favorite tier list or what your favorite cryptid is, and if there was anything you guys would have changed. Have you heard of some of these ones that we were like, what is this? We've never heard of this.
Or maybe-
Anyway, we'll see you guys all next week. Peace.